You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side.
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one.
Are you kidding? Why the hell should I wait for you?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
If you're having nightmares, then welcome to the club. My name's Subaru Natskis, and I am the Knight of Amelia.
Right now, all I can give you is just death.
It wasn't for you in particular.
You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
Welcome everyone to I don't know what this is going to be tonight. Honestly, I'm not on camera because I'm not feeling up to it. It's one of those days, where you just want to sit around shirtless and not be on camera because everything fucking sucks and you're miserable. But oh well. Anyway, tonight on the list of things to rant about, anime. Crunchyroll doing some bullshit. In multiple instances, actually. Excuse me. What the fuck? Sorry, it seems something has malfunctioned. While I'm going through all the things that I want to do for tonight. Oh well. And okay, so back on track. So we've got Crunchyroll doing short form anime. We have animation studios cannot afford to pay their animators. Crunchyroll again apparently stealing stuff from their voice actors, and a strongly worded manifesto sent to the producers of certain Opie mouse pads. So tonight's going to be an interesting little chat session. But before we get to any of that, you know what it's got to go for. What am I talking about? You know what we got to do. We got to talk about this week's anime weeklies. The seasonals, all the stuff that we've watched. So this is where we left off last week. Let me bring this up on my main screen and we'll talk about it. So this is where we left off last week, and I have watched a couple of things. I mostly caught up. I am a little bit sad to say I did not catch up on Blue Box this week, so now I am 2 episodes behind. But I'm going to do that. And there are a handful of other ones like Demon Lord 2099. I'm 2 episodes behind on that. What else is there that I haven't fully caught up on Orb. I'm still 2 episodes behind on that. And there's some other ones that I haven't gotten around to watching at all. But we'll save all that catch up for next week because hopefully it won't be so bad. I mean, I was losing my fucking mind trying to my audio is probably really low. Sorry. I was losing my ever-loving mind trying to do a video, and I just eventually decided I need to take a break, reset next week. So yeah, that's why I really haven't posted much. I am going to be doing a more produced version of this little recap on my main channel. That's something I want to do. And I'm also doing initial impressions. So this week's initial impressions will be about Orb, considering that's one of the big ones that I've watched this week. So let's get started by pulling up my notes, which I should have done a little while ago if I wasn't tarded. I was never untarded, so I can't be retarded. I'm just tarded. Week 4 notes. Where are we? Okay, so, all right, let's start here. You are Miss Servant. I love this show. I'm moving it all the way up to the top of the bracket next to or barring Shangri-La Frontier, because I love Shangri-La Frontier. This show has been really fun so far. Mostly wholesome, entertaining, sort of like easily palatable, enjoyable content. It's fun. It's good. I like it. They have introduced another assassin character now in episode 4. That is going to be a little bit of interesting stuff there. So who knows what's going to go down with that? And she seems like she's not terribly excited about what Yuki's been up to. However, all of the normal shenanigans have proceeded with this series. And it's been very entertaining. I do like it. I do recommend it. I think this is one of the best. Well, you can see in the ranking that I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the better entries this season. Shangri-La Frontier obviously stays the same. It is very, very good. Nothing to particularly report on that. So now we move into some big changes. Banished Healer. I think this is the first one that I actually... Oh. I do have to... Actually, I forgot to add this row in. So this one's going in the dropped section. Drooped. Dropped. And gray. And good. So there we go. I'm dropping this one. Why? Because there's a lot of anime on this list, and I need to start culling some of the ones that I don't like. Otherwise, I'm going to be absolutely swamped trying to keep up with these. I have a full-time job. I can't sit here and watch absolutely every single one of these on top of other projects that I do in my free time. So I'm not going to stick around for mundane stuff. It's just not feasible for me. It's not terrible. Maybe in the future, maybe I'll leave it in the watch later section. Because I feel like dropped is a little bit too harsh for it. I don't feel like watching it right now, but it isn't like horrid. Okay. So next on the list, it's actually this one. 365 Days to the Wedding. I'm moving it up one because the last couple of episodes have been very good. It's sort of shown that there's this growing... It's done a good job of showing that there's a growing connection between the two main characters. And it's showing a little bit of chemistry between them and how they treat each other and how they interact. I do like how it is handling the relationship so far. It isn't like super amazingly like funny, but it is a good romance anime. So just as like a romance anime, I would recommend at least giving it a shot, okay? Just my personal opinion on the matter. Loner Life in Another World is yet again one I'm putting in the watch later category. Something you can binge in a day or so. It would be good for that, like if you're bored. Sorry. All I've watched in terms of current anime this year was The Rest of Frieren, Bartender at Glass of God, and the Spice and Wolf remake. There's just not been much I've been interested by. Hello, Readout Productions. Yeah. The reason I do this, why I watch so many of these, is because I like to have something to talk about, like proper anime, and go over all like the ratings stuff. Sometimes I find ones that actually do really surprise me, like Mecha Ude was one that it's very shonen, and we'll get to it later on the list because I did catch up on it this week, but it was one that surprised me. Some of these were fairly interesting, and I gotta start dropping some of them because there's so many on this freaking list, and that's what I'm doing right now. Loner Life in Another World being one of those. It's another one that's just sort of generic isekai. It doesn't do anything particularly special. You have this guy who's just sort of like the outcast of class, and he gets stuck with a bunch of like garbage skill. There's nothing terribly unique about it. And now it would be one thing if it was just like sort of generic, but had some blue box sounds pretty interesting for your first impressions. Yeah. Oh, thanks for watching that, by the way. Yeah, actually, Blue Box was one I didn't expect to like as much, but it was actually really freaking good. Well animated, well written so far. It's unfortunately one of the ones that I haven't caught up on this week, so I'm 2 episodes behind on it. But yeah, I gotta drop Loner Life, and another one that I gotta drop is Goodbye Dragon Life. Again, for a lot of the same reasons. It's terribly generic fantasy anime, and it doesn't do a whole lot of stuff that like really catches you that makes it unique. Like Berserk is unique because it is a very like painfully dark story at times, and it just hooks you with the characters and like yeah. Claymore I like because I like the concept of like the monsters and stuff and the mystery behind the world and all of that. Freerin hooks me because I fucking love the message of Freerin. It's very simple. It's very easily applicable to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people can appreciate or at least use this sort of commentary about how like we're supposed to appreciate these ordinary things while they last because everything is temporary. Yeah. But Goodbye Dragon Life is very much like it would be mid-grade at best, and it plays off of a lot of like sentiments that are prevalent in anime, like the reincarnation thing that isekai does. Also, monster girls, that's a thing. There is a little bit to be said about how like the main character is just like a generically good guy, like a dragon in his previous life who just wanted to live a peaceful existence and then reincarnated as a human. He's not spiteful towards the humans who killed him or anything. He's just like, oh well, I've been given a second chance, so let's roll with it. But it feels like its plot progresses too quickly. Like certain things that I feel like would be an entire season worth of content have been condensed down into like the first 4 episodes. So I'm just like, yeah, this is a little bit too TikTok brain rot for me. And I don't know if I want to go spending all my time watching this when it's not satisfying to me. So, on that note, we're going to move on to tying the knot with an Amagami sister. So this one I have been enjoying, but I do have to move it down a slot this week because of a complaint I literally just voiced. Certain things feel like they're progressing too fast. And in this case, it's not an entire season's worth of content being condensed down into 4 episodes. It is 2 episodes, well, what felt like should have been 2 or 3 episodes being condensed into 1. And this isn't inherently like a problem if people like that sort of faster pacing. Good on them. But I like slow, methodical, detailed pacing with my stories. I like things that sort of take their time to like get to like marinate you in the story pretty much. This has done a good job of that so far, while also keeping track to like give you good redeeming qualities to all the characters. So like instead of making Uryu this like spiteful atheist who hates God because God didn't save his mother, he's just a guy who is disillusioned with it and he doesn't really want anything to do with it. Now, he is a bit antagonistic towards the sisters, but when it matters, he's also a really good ally to them, someone who's willing to help them, even though their beliefs don't particularly align with his. I think they do a really good job with that. But like I said, this episode, number 4, felt like a little bit of compression was happening. And I would have liked to see a little bit more on the front of, well, we have to save the shrine by drawing in all these people. Maybe show a little bit more of the effort put into that instead of like time lapsing a bunch of days to make it happen. But I have said multiple times that I'm a far more pretentious anime fan than most. So take my opinions on things with a grain of salt, and I always encourage people to at least check things out themselves. Dragon Ball Daima. I'm actually moving this one up to interesting. Because the third episode actually gave a little bit of like cool stuff. It's still very like obnoxious with the way Goku reacts to everything, and I'm just not used to someone else other than Sean Schmeckel, or Schemmel, however you pronounce his name, Sean Schemmel, voicing Goku. It feels weird, but they did give us a good action sequence in like the Demon World Bar where Goku's sort of like getting used to fighting in a new environment and with like showing that he's adapting to his new body and situation and all of that. And the intro has grown on me. It's not terrible, but I do not think it is my favorite Dragon Ball project. And as I said last week, I am not a terribly huge fan of Dragon Ball. So that is where I will leave it. So now we get to a new one that I watched, Trillion Game. And this one's also going to go in the interesting category. I'm going to put it right in the middle of the pack for interesting. So if you don't know what this is, Trillion Game is effectively the story of two friends or two high school friends who decide to start up a company with the goal of making 100 trillion yen. Now, that roughly equates to $1 trillion. Rough math there because I don't know the exact exchange rate. It's roughly 100 yen to $1. So, like a yen is like 1 cent. Of course, people who are more knowledgeable about that would probably correct me and jump down my throat, but it's close enough to get the point across, right? They're trying to make $1 trillion. So it's somewhat fun. I've been watching the dub for it because I like to do other things if I can while I'm watching my anime. And it just so happens that by the time I got around to this one, there were already several episodes dubbed. So I'm going to continue rolling with the dub. What I will say is I like the concept of it. Like you have the tech guy who's like the actual like properly skilled person, and then you have the salesman guy who is a born liar, a born yapper who can like talk up a storm and like get the money he needs, and he knows people, he can work with people. But he is not an ethical type of person at all. So with this, I think it's interesting, only interesting because then it comes down to like art style, and I do not like the art style. I think it's actually like character designs and stuff are actually kind of ugly. But that might just be because I am used to the more like shonen-esque sort of art styles in anime. That's the kind of stuff I like. So like Shangri-La Frontier, ReZero, Dan, how Ranma and a half, I do really like all of those designs. But stuff like Trillion Game and Yakuza Fiance, I couldn't do their art style. It's just not my thing. So yeah, this one, I was decently surprised. I saw some people say it was their favorite anime of the season, but not mine. But if you know anything about me, you'll know that anything that has to compete with ReZero might as well be chocolate. Yeah, Dan is... Well, I discovered it back when it was a manga before it got a anime announcement. So I have been a huge fan of it. If you don't like teenage boy humor, you might not enjoy it, but otherwise it is a very wholesome, very fun, like shy guy becomes the hero of the story kind of thing. He isn't like Ken is not a loser. There was a video that circulated about how like incel romance and all that. Ken is not an incel. He's not a loser. He's just an awkward dude who doesn't know how to behave around people. But the moment he has people who like show that they're willing to be his friend, he comes out of his shell. He's a great main character. It's all around very goofy, very fun. It doesn't get too terribly dark with anything, which I appreciate. And this week's episode was a freaking fantastic display. Animation, sound, the way they did the story and everything. Like they decided to go with some like classical music for a chase scene, like legit like classical music, and they animated it brilliantly. The English voice actor for Ken is killing it, or Okaroon, however you want to say it. But cryptids, ghosts, and aliens, all that nonsense wrapped around a teen romance story. It's great. I love it. And if it weren't for ReZero, it would be the best of the season. But I am a huge fan of ReZero, so yeah. Made a video about that. Why I love that series so much. Anyway, getting that one out of the way. So, Talker. The most notorious talker runs the world's most powerful clan. I'm actually moving this one up because it does a good job of like showing that Noel, the main character, is kind and as like meek as he can seem. He can be ruthless if he needs to be. Like in the latest episode, one of his clients tries to poison him so that they can get out of paying the fee for a job. To which Crimson and ReZero are one and the same. Maybe a little bit more than you realize. Yeah. Half my personality is just simping for ReZero. Anyway, Noel basically jams his thumb in this guy's eye and threatens to kill him and all that. And this, of course, disillusions the guy's daughter, who was like infatuated with Noel because of the previous job they had done for the family. But all because they tried to screw Noel out of payment and even tried to kill him. So it's like you can understand his reaction, but he is not a merciful person to anyone who will stab him in the back. And this is the second time in the series that we have seen this. He is brutal to the people who betray him. Otherwise, he is a very good person. Like in the first instance of him being betrayed, there was one guy who actually stayed by his side, and he was kind and decent to that person. The other two who decided that they were going to try and cheat him, not so much. But yeah, really good sort of balancing like the dark and light aspects of both characters who are in it so far. That being Alma and Noel, and they kind of take different routes. Actually, I kind of like the contrast there, where Alma like starts off like you learn she's like she comes from a clan of assassins and all of that, and you sort of like see the more like innocent side of her come in and the more emotional side of her come in, and Noel starts off as like this like aspiring seeker, someone who like you would expect to be someone who would expect you would distracted by a message coming. Someone you would expect to be like a good shining beacon, and then more and more you see him, the more you realize that there's some like dark, brutal parts of his personality that shine through every now and then. I do sort of like that contrast and how it's been balancing those things so far, as he is determined in pursuit of his goal and he's not going to let people slight him. Mecha Uday. Now, this one actually started off really strong for me. I really like this one, but slowly it's been fading for something that I've complained about twice now, and the third time, pacing. This one feels like it is going lightning fast, but the caveat I will give it is that it feels like it's more for like young teens, like the 13 to 15 age range, the same way you would expect most like cartoons on Cartoon Network and stuff to be. I feel like it is not trying to be like some deep, masterful piece of art. It is more so trying to entertain. And it does that very well. But I'm talking about my tastes here. Okay. So, as much of a caveat as I have to give it, I feel like it could do better by slowing its roll a little bit and not progressing so much, and maybe giving us some time to marinate in the story and the lore dumps it gives us and go from there. Basically, I feel like at times it is cramming story down my throat, and I don't like that. So, I'll be a villainess who goes down in history. Um, this one's still right where it is. It's just gonna stay. I've been enjoying this. I don't generally enjoy these Otome game reincarnations. They're not my favorite thing. But this one has been interesting. Again, like I said in previous installments of this, that I do like that Alicia has her own form of kindness that she's sort of working on. She wants to prove that she can do anything that the heroine can do, but she wants to do it in her own way. And from what I've seen is basically she is just pouring cold water on people's idealism and trying to force them to come up with a proper logical way to deal with all those things. This latest episode sort of handled that. And so like the idea of her being a villainess, I guess she kind of nails it because she comes off as kind of high-handed and bitchy, but you start like measuring her actions and stuff and everything she's done. She's probably one of the most kind-hearted and good-natured characters in the entire series, which makes sense. It's supposed to be your protagonist. You want people to like them. So yeah, that one can stay where it is. Ranma and a half. I've been enjoying Ranma and a half. I know that I watched it last week because Shad did his video and I want to do a little bit of response on it. But and like I said, I don't think it's a terrible anime. I've actually still been really enjoying it, but I never read the manga. I never watched the original. So I am judging this solely on my reaction to this specific anime. And I think it's good, but again, I'm going to have to move it down because I feel like certain elements just aren't coming across the same, or are not coming across the same, aren't coming across well. And I feel like there are a few things that they could have done better. I'll just leave it at that. I'm just saying it's kind of it's still fun. I still enjoy it, but I feel like I don't know what's missing with it. Like, why is it not grabbing me? Oh well. Oh well. What else is on here that I have watched that I haven't talked about? I mean, I don't really need to mention ReZero, but I will say, they did a good job this week, with the introduction of Capella, the Archbishop of Lust, and the beginning of the first attack on the Capitol building. I think there are certain elements they did wrong, but overall they did a really good job of adapting the whole situation. I like that they're doing a decent job with the animation, showing Subaru doing his thing with the carrying Krush to the ceiling, or the ceiling, to the roof, using Julius's spirit magic and all that stuff. Garfield and Wilhelm getting decent, good fight scenes against Redacted and Redacted, because I don't want to spoil too much. I know there are some people who tune into this who aren't familiar with ReZero like I am. and they do watch the series. But those two fights are going to become pretty important going forward. Garfield and Ricardo working together against one of them, and then Wilhelm going straight up toe to toe with the other. Fantastic. And they did also show that the witch they're talking about, who was trapped in Pristella, was Typhon. A lot of people assumed it was Satella, but no, this is something that's touched on. Pristella was a trap built to kill Typhon because Typhon's authority, pride, was effectively the ability to disintegrate someone with a touch based on how much of a sinner she perceived them as. So even trying to fight this girl at all was a very dangerous issue because, as shown in season 2, even other witches were not immune to her authority. Like with why can't I remember Wrath's name? The Witch of Wrath being affected by pride as well. Yeah. Lots of interesting little things that I could talk about. I could talk up a storm about ReZero and theories about Pandora and the witches cult and all this stuff. And Satella, for that matter. Especially after that whole interaction between Amelia and Volcanica. Yeah. I need someone to read those fucking books so I could talk my ear off and talk their ear off about it. Bleach is another one that I did catch up on this week. Just so Rolo wouldn't chew me out later if he decides to join. Bleach, I have really liked. They've done really good with the choreography and all that. I don't know how I feel about Yuha Baha anymore as a villain. I feel like he's just sort of coming off as kind of like generic, like, yeah. Like, why does he want to destroy the cycle of life and death? Why does he want to destroy the 3 worlds? What's the point of it? I get it, like he's spiteful towards a world that had no place for the Quincy's, but I feel like there needs to be more there. Just saying. Just my personal opinion on the matter. So Bleach stays. A lot of these are a lot of the must watch are pretty much locked into position because of my personal preferences. So, like, I don't think there's going to be much change in the upper echelons of this in the very top bracket. And now we come to the last entry of the week, the last thing I have watched this week. Orb on the movement of the earth. Now, this one's actually like a historical drama anime, and it is actually very good. I think I'm gonna put it right here ahead of Ranma and a half. This one, I like it actually. It's pretty good. A lot of people are talking up a storm about this, and I got comments on my last updates video about there not being Orb on here. It's because I just haven't gotten around to watching it. Finally did. So if you don't know what this series is about, this series takes place in Poland during like the time of the Inquisition and stuff, and it is basically the story about how heliocentrism took root in the scientific community and in the world at large, and particularly how the Roman Catholic Church tried to stifle it through the Inquisitions over the disagreement with the doctrines of church and all of that. It's been quite the interesting experience, honestly. The character you think is the main character is not actually the main character. I do not know about like the historicity of it, the actual accuracy of the history, because I've heard some conflicting stuff like between like people who I know who are Catholic and comments I've and like discussions, I should say, I've had online, because it's really not like terribly argumentative or anything. That some of like the perception of how the church responded to heliocentrism is not true. So I wonder as to like how accurate like the pushback against heliocentrism because of the problems it would create to the infallibility of the church really were. But that aside, it's still a good story in a interesting anime. And it basically follows the compounding efforts of multiple people to drive forward the idea of heliocentrism and the pursuit of scientific knowledge. And it doesn't do it in like a spiteful anti-Christian way. In fact, the first 3 episodes, the characters expressed their desire to live in a beautiful universe designed by God. They basically believed that the geocentric view of the universe wasn't very beautiful, and that it was almost a mockery to God because of how overly complex and cumbersome it was in predicting the movements of the heavens. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. I have enjoyed it. Don't really have any much else to say about the anime stuff. Is there anything I'm missing? So I guess next week I'll have to catch up on Demon Lord 2099, finish up Orb, catch up on Blue Box, and we'll probably add a new one. My wife became an elementary school student, which unfortunate name, but it is basically a story about grief and closure. From what I understand, the tale is effectively this man loses his wife, and the resulting or the results of that are basically he becomes sort of estranged from his own daughter, and later on his wife shows up reincarnated as like a elementary school girl. And it's this whole thing about like trying to rectify his relationship with his daughter and get over the loss of his wife and all that. That's how it's been explained to me anyway. So I'll be checking that out. Otherwise, this is where we're at right now. A lot of this stuff is very good. I am very much enjoying a lot of these anime. Some of them are just like a level of intrigue, and some of them I just can't stomach anymore. For reasons I've already stated. If there are any other things that I should check out that have come out this season, obviously there are certain things that I need to check out. Like I still need to finish Spice and Wolf, and the talk about Bartender has made me kind of want to check it out, but I swamped myself with a bunch of work all at once for various projects, and then I almost never have any time to experiment to go back and hit my my back catalog. So, oh well. Back me, I guess. Either way, I hope that let's actually remove that from stage. I hope that you've enjoyed this sort of weekly recap for everything that's been going on. So, with that said, we are going to move on to some of tonight's main topics. So, like I said earlier, share this tab instead. There's some interesting shakeups going on in anime. So, obviously, there has been a issue with attention spans, and this is something I've kind of talked about. And yeah, it's been a problem for the anime community because anything that isn't just 20 minutes of mindless action is going to lose like 60% of the anime audience. But now with the rise of TikTok and short form content, Crunchyroll is looking at trying to get in on the market because shorts have become a very hugely popular thing. So, global anime streamer Crunchyroll explores shorter anime for shrinking attention spans in the TikTok generation. Global anime streamer Crunchyroll is exploring the idea of shorter anime projects to suit the preference of younger generations for short form content, such as that seen on TikTok, according to a new interview. Nikkei X Trend interviewed Crunchyroll CEO Gita Rebapragada and President Rahul Parini about the latest trends concerning the anime industry. When the pair were asked how they believed anime will evolve in the future, Perini replied, "Most anime are 21 to 24 minutes long. Meanwhile, younger generations are used to watching short 2 to 4 minute videos, one after the other. We need to think about how to tell anime stories differently than we traditionally have done. The anime ecosystem itself needs to continue to evolve." And now this part I disagree with, because that short attention span has been a problem with certain, like, with in conveying information and meaning in anime. Particularly the one that has been like super affected by this have been some of the more recent releases. There was Alia-san sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. There was the whole fallout over, oh well, Yuki's this incestuous girl, and they completely missed exactly like the multiple like conditions that were coming together to make Yuki Suo's whole character. And it wasn't in any way about her wanting to actually sleep with her brother. It was a strict family environment. It was a strong familial bond with her brother. Like they're very, very close to each other. And her being a bit of a sadistic otaku. But people completely overlook the fine details just for the whole shower bit that she did, where she tried to time the whole thing to get her brother to walk in on her. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Someone pinged me again. Anyway. And then there was obviously the Mushoku Tensei stuff, which, whether you like or dislike Mushoku Tensei, I don't particularly care. But there was a lot of stuff that got slung around in that because people just saw like the damning clips of Rudius doing the things that you're supposed to not like him for. And the things that he eventually gets punished for and grows out of, ultimately becoming a normal, responsible, respectable adult man with a wife and kids. But people are, well, fucked in the head. So that has been my problem with this, is too many people will like quickly extrapolate things out of just like clips and stuff and never actually watch a project or sit and try and think about it. If it's not like short form, constant action, flashy lights sort of stuff, there is a large section of the anime community that just won't pay attention. Which sucks for me because I like long, slow stories. The internet does not. It's not the first time that Crunchyroll has signaled its intention to appeal to the younger generation's tendency to watch shorter content. Speaking again to Nikkei in August, Reba Pragada said the platform was exploring short content like anime music videos, as well as promotional content through platforms like TikTok, Crunchyroll's X, formerly Twitter. Why do we keep doing that? account has notably ramped up its posting of scenes from anime episodes before inviting viewers to check out the series on its platform. Nevertheless, Crunchyroll's latest comments point towards going even further, potentially reducing the duration of some anime projects. The company, which grossed $1 billion in 2023 from licensed goods, is far from alone in this regard. Most recently, Masayuki Ozaki, president of Bandai Namco Pictures, Irumakun, Gintama, Wistoria, left the company this month to establish a new anime studio, Creatimate, specializing in shorter anime projects. Japan-based anime production studio Tokyo Epic announced this month it will set up an anime distribution platform and a new dedicated studio specifically for short form content. So here's one thing I will say is the shorter sort of anime aren't necessarily bad. Last season I had one that I really liked. They were half-length episodes, and it was the evil lieutenant, the magical girl and the evil lieutenant used to be arch enemies. Ignoring the synopsis title, it was good. It was wholesome, and it was fun. I thought it was really well animated. I thought it did a good job of telling a story, but it was 12 episodes, each episode 11 and a half minutes long. Tis what it is. It was good. Now, this season, I also said right off the bat that there was another one that was like that was pretty good. Lockdown Zone Level X. Honestly, just an okay production, but I was intrigued by the premise. I feel like they kind of killed it going into like the sort of game aspect of it. But whatever. Lamau. I feel like if you go too short, though, you start to lose a lot of good stuff about anime. I feel like 20 to 24 minutes is the right average episode. I do wish we would get more long episodes like Oshinoko's pilot, ReZero Season 3, Episode 1, stuff like that. I do like the longer episodes, but my generation just, for some reason, really, really loves short form content. So, screw me. Numerous NFT-based companies such as Azuki also use short anime as a launch pad to enter the space. Azuki partnered with anime legend Goro Taniguchi, Code Geass, One Piece Film Red, and Junichi Yamamoto, why Realia ended up at the Duke's mansion, for an anime earlier this year. Branded content creators like Intertrend, sorry, my brain broke on that one, have also seen success with anime shorts for Toyota. While Crunchyroll led push for more diverse anime runtimes would likely meet with backlash from some fans, several industry professionals have previously voiced its necessity for other purposes. Shigeo Akahori, a well-known regular on Studio Ghibli films, highlighted the importance of short anime, attracting amateurs and animators who had ideas but had no place to put them to use, and addressed a creative drought. Oh, that's another one that I should mention is Surazure Children. Was actually a really good short anime. But pursuing this more, I feel like they're going to overcorrect with some of this stuff. Some short anime are good, but I feel like full-length anime are best. But that's coming from someone who didn't get in on the COVID crash. I was in to anime before that. Although, admittedly, not by much, only by about 2.5 years. And that's pretty much it. With many of the proponents of shorter anime having an eye on markets other than just Japan, those critical of certain aspects of the globalization of anime will likely find it concerning. Yomiuri reported late last year, that Imagica, the parent company of Pokemon Studio OLM, reached a deal to produce light anime to bring down production cost. Remove the wrong thing from the stage. Okay, so to sort of briefly talk about what's going on here. So, what does it seem like they're doing? Well, according to the article, it makes it seem more like they are pursuing short form anime for advertisement and stuff to try and draw people into longer form anime. That would be cool, but who knows what that actually is going to mean? They talk about short form anime. And my initial thought is, oh, they're going to take like a normal 20-minute episode and they're going to condense it down. And that's kind of what the initial opening of the argument in the comments from the CEO seemed to imply, that they wanted to condense down normal anime into shorter forms to make it more palatable to people who are used to watching shorts. Which I don't see what the difference between watching 10 shorts or 10 2-minute videos and one 20-minute video is, especially if they're all going to be the same thing. I'm just saying, if you're going to watch 10 2-minute segments that all tie together, why not just watch one 20-minute segment? Is your attention span really that short that you can't sit through 20 minutes of something? If that's the case, and I know for some people it is, we're fucked. Like, that's just not right. But I must differ from like everyone in my generation, or not everyone. I must differ from the bulk of my generation because I don't like faster stories. It's just a thing. I don't enjoy stories that are faster and just go, 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 go. I like long stories. I like slow stories that take their time and methodically set things up with detail and world building and lore and all that kind of stuff. I prefer those. I like my entertainment to pretty much be an investment of my time. And then you go and start talking about like taking away the part of a series that the part of anime that I really like, the small details that help flesh out characters in the world. Well, damn. That sucks. Guess I'll be going back and watching a lot of the old stuff I haven't touched yet. Let's move on, because there's still more new stuff to cover. So, we're going to take a break from Crunchyroll because we'll come right back to Crunchyroll. There's some other stuff that we need to talk about. But there is one thing that that came out early this week that I feel like needs to be talked about a bit. Pardon me. Anime studios have difficult raising wages for animators without going bankrupt themselves, reveals new report. Amid rising profits in Japan's animation market, anime production studios in Japan are grappling with low finance, overwork, and stagnant wages that threaten the future sustainability of the industry. A recent Nikkei business report highlighted that anime production companies operate under severe financial constraints, making it difficult to raise wages for animators without jeopardizing their own survival. All at the heart of this issue lies a complex production committee system. Intellectual property rights for anime and merchandise are often controlled by the committee members, which typically include TV stations, advertising agencies, and other investors. Many production studios, however, are excluded from these committees and do not receive royalties from the work they produce. This is something I've been talking about. This is kind of like, this is what I've been saying about anime and piracy and stuff. Okay, this is a huge issue. They aren't the studios you love aren't receiving any of the benefits from you purchasing a series or from you watching it through a streaming site. No, all of that revenue goes to the IP holders, to the TV stations, and to the streaming platform. The studio gets a one-time fee to produce the anime. This system, in effect, covers production costs but fails to provide sustainable profits for studios, further limiting their ability to improve working conditions or raise wages. A January 2024 report by Japan Research Institution made similar observations, noting that anime production studios only earned 6% of the overseas sales revenue from their works and 16% of domestic sales. The current system ensured studios barely break even with subcontractors, who often receive even less, frequently operating at a deficit. Studios are also rarely able to manage entire productions independently, relying on subcontractors to complete projects. However, with limited financial returns trickling down the production chain, many subcontracting studios struggle to stay afloat, exacerbating the industry's financial instability. The report by Nikkei Business comes in the backdrop of a report published by the United Nations in May this year, which stated that while Japan's animation market generated approximately 2.7 trillion yen, $20 billion, animator salaries remain shockingly low. Yes, this is something that I've covered previously. Hi, JM. Talking about how like animators were living in like share homes and all that stuff. And like subsiding off of like cup ramen and stuff. It's a fucking awful industry to be a part of. But these people do it because they love doing it. Entry-level animators earn an average of 1.5 million yen, $10,000 per year. This exodus of skilled workers has led to a shortage of technical experience, hindering the production of high-quality animation. As a result, studios have increasingly outsourced work overseas to manage production demands. Moreover, the UN reportedly found that 31% of the workforce in the animation sector operates as freelancers or independent contractors who lack labor protections and are subject to excessive working hours and unfair subcontracting practices. The UN urged businesses and production committees to take responsibility and improve working conditions to prevent a potential industry collapse. Once again, the JRI report had noted similar patterns. The study revealed alarmingly high turnover rates, with 25% of animators leaving within 4 years of joining the industry and 68% departing within 8 years. Now, one of the things that could help solve this massive fucking issue is if they stopped just cranking things out. I get that anime is like hugely popular right now and that there's a lot of demand for it, but we do not need 50 billion isekais that are all the same at the expense of other people. More so because most of them just aren't worth watching, okay? I'll say it. Most isekai nowadays is not worth watching. There are a lot of animes that come out these days that are just generic and not worth watching. You can't see me, but I'm flailing my arms around like an idiot while I'm saying all this stuff. The inability to sustain a livelihood due to low wages and long working hours is cited as a key reason for this attrition. For young animators under 30, the financial challenges are particularly acute. Animators aged 20 to 24 earn 1.23 million yen less annually compared to peers in other industries, while those aged 25 to 29 earn 1.04 million yen less. Additionally, freelancers and self-employed animators are at high risk of poverty, especially if their health deteriorates or they encounter financial difficulties. While Japan's recent labor reforms have reduced working hours, the financial situation for studios has worsened. In 2017, 30% of animators worked over 260 hours per month, but by 2020, this number has dropped to just 10. Despite this improvement, reduced overtime has squeezed the studio's profits, making it harder to meet the growing demand for anime, particularly for international markets. To address these challenges, the JRI report had recommended that the Japanese government intervene in this situation. Now, I'm not a fan of government intervention, but something needs to fucking happen here because I've talked about this in multiple streams where the current state of the anime industry is not sustainable because of the large volume of anime that's being put out, because of the terrible conditions that animators are facing, and because, well, we now have a bunch of Western interest in it, which will not do good because the moment things start to become more and more corporate is when creativity dies. So I do want to go back to this. So intellectual property rights for anime and merchandise are often controlled by the committee members, which typically includes TV stations, advertising agencies, and other investors. Many production studios, however, are excluded from these committees and do not receive royalties for the work they produce, leaving them dependent on one-off production fees. That is one of the huge issues and one of the things that I've been talking about since it was mentioned. And I believe it was an NHK report where there was a Japanese economist talking about like why like the share houses for Japanese animators had become a thing, why people were like doing all these like training sessions with other animators, like why they would pull together to try and improve their work and try and help lessen the burden. There's a lot of things wrong with this industry. And this is part of it. It's because they're getting stiffed by the people who actually control the IPs. So it covers production costs, but fails to provide sustainable profit for the studio. Yeah, that's, again, the huge issue. And this is why, again, like I said earlier, I don't have so much of a problem with people pirating anime. Because as much as everyone wants to talk about how, like, oh, it hurts the studio, you're a terrible person, it doesn't actually hurt the studio. Not as much as they want to make it out to. Let's put it this way. A fraction of the people are pirating this stuff, and only a fraction of that money ever even potentially makes it to these studios. They get paid upfront for their work. So it is the impetus of the people paying them to pay them better. Plus, they get screwed over on the merchandising front, because it says here that a January 2024 report by the Japanese Research Institute made similar observations, noting that the anime production studios only earn 6% of overseas sales revenue from their works and 16% of domestic sales. Like, this whole industry is screwed. They're screwed up. And like, well, again, we want to talk about the overwork. Well, half of it is because of the burnout because of all this. It is a self-feeding loop. I don't know about that, but basically how it works, Muffler Tape, if like I'm hearing you, if I'm reading this correctly. Basically what we're looking at is the IP holders, the publishing companies will go out and they will say, "Hey, we will pay you to animate this thing." Because they know if their manga gets an anime, more people are going to be interested in knowing where it's going. Existing fans will watch the anime and maybe buy some merchandise, but new fans will see the anime and then go to the manga to resume it. They make money off of that. The studio does not. So yeah, there's that. So the production, sorry, the publishing company that owns the rights to, say, like, I don't know, Dungeon Meshi. Let's just go with that. They will basically split the royalties with, like, domestic distributors, with TV stations, with IP with, like, themselves, obviously, and the studios get cut out of that. The studios are basically the subcontractor that you pay one time to do a job and produce a product, and that product is the anime. So regardless of how much it actually does or doesn't get viewed, they get paid the same for the most part. They show here that 16% of domestic sales and 6% of overseas sales. So that if that were inverse, if it were 6% of domestic and 16% of overseas, that would be a little bit better for them, because I feel like the overseas market is slightly bigger. But no, they actually get the smaller cut of the bigger market. Womp womp. So yeah, it's back to what I was saying, though. As far as this, the problem is that these studios are underpaid, and they then have to underpay their staff, which means people get burned out over the long working hours and lack of compensation for long working hours, and they leave, which takes talent away. So they hire new people, and the existing people who didn't leave now have to train new people and correct any mistakes, and it just adds to the work burden, and it burns those people out, and it's a self-feeding loop over and over and over again. These people, new people come in, and they get bogged down with the amount of work that needs to be done, and then the old guard leaves, and they become the old guard, and then a new generation comes up behind them, and now they're doing the same thing that the people were doing for them. You would think, but yeah, this is going to require a little bit more research on my part. But if this is to be taken at its word, okay, at face value, that's not how it works. You would think that if you want someone to give you a good product, you would want to offer them a decent amount of money. Obviously, you are going to try and keep the price reasonable for yourself, but oh, yeah. I want to talk about this one because this is something I have been talking about. I have been referencing for a while now. And I've already kind of gone over it, about the piracy stuff, about the studios and all that, and how all of this, like, holier than thou behavior towards piracy is totally, or well, not totally, it's almost completely baseless. Because it shows that people don't really understand the financial breakdown of these markets. They don't understand how this stuff works. These studios are paid one time and it's done. You want to fix the animation industry? It's not about fixing piracy. It's about fixing the awful state of the monetization. Take a swig, boys. So yeah, it's not very fun. I feel bad for the people involved in the industry, honestly. I feel bad for all these people working their asses off, only to get underpaid and treated like shit. But Japanese culture is very much respect-based. It's very much like you hold your job and you don't complain and all that. Honor, save face, all of that. There's a lot of complex things that come together to form a situation like this. And now in the United States, I feel like things are starting to have the opposite problem, where people are overpaid for doing too little. And while we've started to cut back with that, you saw how Elon Musk gutted Twitter. All of these cushy tech jobs are starting to go away because, well, nobody can do it. And all the soft people are going to have to suffer and work an actual job like me. Sorry, I'm reveling in the idea of all these people who had their bullshit tech jobs having to work a real job for once in their life. But that said, I think it's something that we should move on from. And I'm probably going to end up clipping that out and posting that on my actual channel just because I want the sort of news to get out there. That is a huge piece of information that I think everyone needs to understand. But we're going to talk about theft now and why Crunchyroll doesn't deserve your money, if this is true. So, David Wald, VA. I don't care about any of his politics. I went to his page. Yeah. None of that's relevant. Why do I bring up the politics? Because I don't want people to jump down my throat or anything like that. Okay? I don't care about what the guy believes. I think it's wrong if this is actually the situation. Dear fellow workers at Crunchyroll, below is a photo of the complete contents of one of the packages addressed to me that was opened and distributed to employees. If you ended up in possession of any of it, I would very much like it returned to me. So the situation here is basically this guy working for Crunchyroll as an English voice actor was having all of his fan mail stolen. Fans would mail him stuff, send things to him, yada, 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 and it would all get stolen by other Crunchyroll employees. Now, I don't know exactly what's happening here, but that seems like a pretty fucked situation. I had another tweet up, but it won't let me pull it up anymore for some reason. But yeah, fuck Crunchyroll. Ever since finding out about Crunchyroll, I don't think I've heard a single good thing about Crunchyroll. The more and more I examine that iceberg, the worse and worse it gets. It's insane. And if Crunchyroll really is stealing their voice actors' fan mail, that could be a huge legal issue. I don't particularly know, but it could be. I'm not a legal expert. I wouldn't know. It's just, I wanted to loop back and talk about this because fuck Crunchyroll. This is why I don't go to them for my anime anymore. All right, let's talk about the last story of the night. And this one's just for the laugh, okay? This one's just for shenanigans. Because I thought it was too ridiculous to not cover. Oh, that's the wrong thing. This is what I meant to show. Concerned mother sends religious manifesto to merch seller after son buys Opie mousepad. Kawa Entertainment, an anime merch seller mostly focused on indie VTubers and creator projects, received a 3-page religious manifesto in the mail after a customer's mother found his Opie mousepad and other etchy goods. According to Kawa Entertainment, approximately $180 in products were returned after the customer's mother discovered the package. A customer sent us a religious manifesto condemning our business. So, you see your body. I guess it's just going to give us some highlights. You see, your body belongs to God. You are not your own. He paid the price for you by dying on the cross. He suffered for you. Now, look, I will say this. I am a religious man myself, okay? I am a Christian. I feel like some people take it a little too far, okay? This seems excessive. Resuming. He suffered for you. The pictures you draw are not respecting the body. They undermine women. A woman should be cherished and loved in a respectful way. You depict wantonness, lust, and despicable desire. In the letter, the mother erroneously attributes the product solely to Cow Entertainment, assuming that she's speaking directly to the artist and accuses them of misusing the gift of art. Oh boy. The images you sent to my son have given him a tainted image of a true woman, a woman with wisdom, understanding, hope, and gives strength to a man, not weakness. These pictures play on a man's weakness, like Delilah to Samson, who deceived Samson into getting what she wanted. A man needs encouragement in the things of God so he can face the world like Joshua, who fled from immorality. These pictures send a man or a woman onto the dark path of loneliness, guilt, isolation, disappointment, anger, separation, and false love. This place is not an easy step to conquer. Relationships are destroyed. Families are separated, and even suicide welcomes a better option. Holy shit! That got fucking dark! Over some titties. Will a man or woman look back to these pictures and be proud of the life they encountered while engulfed in such pain? Will they cry out to the world and rejoice over what they stare at daily? Look again, all they have to offer is hopelessness and false fantasy in a false fantasy world that doesn't exist. Look at yourself. Are you truly proud of what your product or what you produce and the turmoil that churns in every single person that lusts after these figures? My friend, you were created to produce something better, something that releases you from the chains that bind you. God brings hope to those who are in pain. God doesn't bind a soul, he sets it free. I'm sorry for your pain. I'll be praying for you. Cow Entertainment sells merch for VTubers such as Mozumi Peachy, Rocky. I don't know who any of these are. And also merch from Clinic of Horrors, a web manga from Merryweather Media. Oh, Merryweather. I know that one. I followed some of their work. So my question, first of all, is, you can actually see it there. I wonder if you can, you can't zoom in on it. It does not look like it is a quote unquote lewd drawing. Like there's no nipples or anything like that. It's just a sort of sexy outfit. Ugh. And it's just got boobs on your mouse pad. Okay. Not terrible. It's about like average anime stuff. All right. Now I can confidently talk about this. Having figured that out. I can start talking about this in rant mode. It is one thing to where do I start with this? Where do I start with this? How about I feel bad for the son who's not allowed to like anime women? And I guarantee you that guy is going to resent his mother for the rest of his life for this one. Fortunately, I don't think we can it comes with Bible verses too. Holy shit. It comes with Bible verse references too. Yes. Okay, so this is the mouse pad that this mother was sending a manifesto to a company over. Oh man. No, we're talking about to catch you up to speed, Ronnie, as to what this ridiculousness is, some dude bought some like anime merch and his mom found it and sent it back with a strongly worded letter about how awful they are for making lewd anime stuff. Holy crap. I just realized I was sharing the wrong screen that whole time. Fuck me. Let's I'll just show you these. Like they legitimately have actual, they have John 3:16, Isaiah 52:13 through 15, Isaiah 53 3 through 7, Exodus 20:14, Romans 10:9 through 10, Matthew 5. Ugh, there's so many Bible references in here. And look, again, like I've said, I don't have a problem with people having their religious stances, okay? But there is a difference between, hey, this character is dressed a little light, and full on being like etchy or pornographic. Austin 3:16 just said he whooped your ass. Oh well. If that's a reference or something, it's lost on me. Either way, back to what I was saying. There's a point at which you just like, when it comes to anime and stuff, I feel like some people overreact. Shonen fans. This is insane because the thing that is actually there isn't specifically like, it's a wrestling reference. Okay, that explains why I didn't get it. Because I don't watch wrestling. I don't like to watch giant sweaty men grapple each other, okay? That sounds like a you thing, Ronnie. And maybe a Roman thing as well, now that we're thinking about it. I feel like you're going way too far by chewing people out for making this stuff, okay? Like, I'll admit it. I like anime titties, okay? But I don't want to like watch ecchi or hentai because it's just not my thing. I feel like it's a waste of time. You might as well just go to the hub if you're going to look for that stuff, okay? In this case, oh man, this dude is going to be the biggest fucking gooner of all time if his mother keeps doing this stuff to him. I guarantee you he is not going to follow her advice if she's this strict on him. Like, I feel something that gets lost on people is being too strict or too lenient on someone is a terrible idea. You sort of need to find out where the line is. You try to restrain someone from doing all this shit, they're going to find a way to do it if they really want to, okay? I just, I'm glad that the guy's name hasn't been mentioned because that would be the end of his life if people found out his mother sent this to a company. Like, the poor dude would just be over, done, like his social life over if people found out about this. Just a random ridiculous story that I felt like I needed to share with all of y'all. Poor teen loses VTuber merch he spent $180 on. They did release his name. Oh boy. I doubt it. That's what I thought you were going for, Ronnie. Yeah. Well, maybe I will save this link for their next show, and I will hit them with it like, hey, Roland, I feel bad for you. Like, I can't believe this happened. But anyway, that is all that I wanted to cover for the night. The news, the anime updates, all that stuff. So I'm gonna wrap it there because there's no point in dragging this on any longer. So if you want to know what I'm going to be up to, well, I mean, every week there is this stream. Well, just about every week. I have missed a couple, but just about every Saturday at 8 o'clock Central. I go live, I talk about weekly anime, and then I cover news. Sundays, I do a little bit of gaming. Okay. Now, I don't know what time I'm going to set for that yet because I do want to keep doing Monster Hunter, but Sundays, I do my gaming stuff. Oh, sorry, hiccups. Monday, I will be releasing the weekly rankings update on my main channel, Crimson Law, and talking about which is basically what I covered at the beginning of the show, all the anime updates and all that stuff. I'm going to do a little bit more to sort of produce that, maybe experiment with doing a shorter version of it and condensing it down, and like scripting an actual video and trying to produce something other than just taking a live stream clip. Wednesdays, I'm going to try and start uploading my initial impressions videos again. I did one for Blue Box. Very good. I liked it. It did okay as a video, but could have done better. I mean, it's not my 17,000 view Mushoku Tensei video, but oh well. Tuesday, though, is the unique project because it's the end of the month. We're doing good fiction again. And this month, we're talking about Chainsaw Man. So that will be me, Muffler Tape, and Rolo talking about one of the most wild, incomprehensible manga that is out there. The mind of Fujimoto is something incomprehensible to the mortal man. I mean, we're talking about a dude who ate his dead pet goldfish. Like, fuck. So yeah, we'll be talking in depth Chainsaw Man Tuesday. I believe I said 7 Central, if I remember correctly. This is a bad sign that I'm forgetting the time that I set myself. Yeah, 7. It was 7. So hope you all join us from that. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Crimson Lawson, where I scream into the void and retweet ReZero fan art. That said, it is time to get out of here. So thank you to everyone for showing up. Ronnie, Readout Production, Muffler Tape, every single one of you. I appreciate it, even if you are just here to make fun of me and clip me for your videos or what have you. Enjoy as I wrap the stream and play the outro.